This is always a really fun time of year for me. You see, in May of 2019, my two sons and I packed up everything we had. We moved from Chicago suburbs all the way down to Winston-Salem. We didn't know one person. Then about a year later, in May of 2020, I started making videos for YouTube about moving to and living in Winston-Salem. Since then, I've become the #1 relocation agent in the area and in the top 3% of agents overall. Plus, after making over 100 videos for YouTube, I've learned some really cool tricks. Like if you just say something and point to the left, it pops on screen. Watch. Unicorn. Leprechaun. Goldfish. No, goldfish. There, see? Takes a little practice, but seriously, I've helped hundreds of people buy and sell real estate in that time, and I'm so grateful for it. But there are some things that I wish I knew before I moved here and some things that I would do different. I want to talk about those in this video. I'm Jeff Valentino. My job is helping people buy and sell real estate. My Google reviews and my contact information is below. And I made a video on this before that I'll link below if you want, in the description if you want to take a look at some of that. But here's some new things, and I run across them all the time, either from myself or just from talking with clients. The first thing are kids and driver's license in North Carolina, and I'm going through this right now. Back in my day, when I was a kid getting the driver's license, you went, took the test, you went, did driver's ed, you got your permit at 15, took the test at 16, got your license. Here, it's a little bit different, and I think it's a little bit more strict than most states. So just know if you're going into this, it's going to be a little bit more. What kids have to do after they take driver's ed, they take a test, get their permit. After they get their permit, so right around 15 or so, but during that year from 15 to 16, they have to do driving. It's called in-car with a parent or guardian or adult, and they have to do a lot of it. They have to do 60 hours of daytime driving with you supervised, and then 10 hours of nighttime driving. And I'm mentioning this not only because I had other people go through it, but I am in the middle of it right now with two sons, and I will just tell you, it's a lot. It's a big commitment, especially as a single parent that works a lot and things like that, and the kids have sports and activities and friends and all these different things. You really have to budget and set aside time to get that in, because and it seems like not that much in a year, but it's 70 hours over a year. It goes by quick. So just know that kids getting the driver's license here in North Carolina is a little bit different. Next thing is Winston-Salem has a pretty strong local music scene. And that's everything from Southern gospel to country to rock, jazz, cover bands, original artists. There's a big music scene here that I had no idea existed when I first moved here. You have larger venues at like the Ramcat or UNSCA, the Stevens Center. And then there were annual, more like kind of music festivals like Gears and Guitars, which is coming up. And then there's the Winston-Salem Concert in the Park series. And then not to mention there's just smaller venues. There are tons of breweries, coffee shops, wineries just outside of Winston-Salem, restaurant patios, all kinds of different places. If you're into live music of any kind, from just, a small one-man band to, more larger regional acts coming into town, the music scene in Winston-Salem is much more stronger and thriving than I originally knew, and it's got a huge variety of music, like I said, from classical all the way through. And I've mentioned this one before, but it just keeps coming back time and time again, so I just want to make sure that I mention it. This is at the South. Things go at a little bit slower pace. And I did kind of know this, and I've talked about it before, but you kind of have to get used to it at the same time. I'm from a place where it's like, go, 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 and it's just not like that here all the time. And I've grown to kind of enjoy a little bit of slower pace of life, but it is something that you do have to get used to, especially like if you're hiring somebody to come and do work at your house, right? I have like a sense of urgency where it's like, okay, let's go, let's get it done. And it's like kind of call you now and kind of get here then and just do this work like that. It's just a little bit slower than you might be used to. So just know, whether it's hiring somebody to come and do work at the house or going through the grocery store or even just sitting at a red light, it's just a little bit slower pace here, and it's something that you have to get used to. It does take a little bit, and I still run into issues with it sometimes where I can just see I'm just kind of being overbearing with people because I'm more like, let's go, let's go, let's go, and that's just not everybody's pace here. This is a little bit slower pace of life, so know that, expect it, and just kind of try to embrace it like I do. Now, on the other hand, another thing to know is this is not a sleepy, small southern town either. Winston-Salem is a city, and it has a lot of the things, good and bad, that come along with being in a city, right? There's a huge variety of things to do. You have a lot of amenities, and downtown is growing and adding stuff all the time. It's really exciting. The city does a good job at reinventing and marketing itself and pushing forward and just looking for some ways to grow at a nice, slow, steady pace. But at the same time, there are some things that go along with the city that's maybe not great. There are good parts and bad parts to it. There is, parts that tend to have a little bit more crime than others. You have to deal with construction, and sometimes things change, and sometimes people don't like change when things are getting built and things like that. So it's a city, it's growing, and more people are moving here than leaving. So there is some of those pains that can kind of go along with the city. I would rather have a city with slow, steady growth where people are coming to than one that people are leaving and is getting more desolate. So just know it's not a sleepy southern town. It's a city with its own personality. It's eclectic, it's artsy, it's a little funky. And if you haven't been here, maybe coming here will help you just get a better feel for the city. It's one of the reasons why I really liked it here. It's why it really grew on me and kind of pulled me back. It really strikes a sweet spot between, that slower pace of life and then kind of city life and things like that. Winston-Salem strikes a really good pace. So I think knowing that a little more ahead of time would have helped me just reset my expectations and maybe adjust a little bit more. I've joked around before about we're being far enough north and south. I've said it so much, I've even applied for a trademark. But Winston-Salem really does sit in a sweet spot geographically. 4 distinct seasons, not too hot in the summer, not too cold in the winter, all those good things. Now, being far enough north and the south, one of the key things here is we don't have the giant bugs as you go like you do in the deep, deep south. Big lizards running around and all those things like that. It's just far enough north in the south that we don't have to have a lot of those problems, and mostly critter problems like a lot of parts of the places further south. The trade-off on that is winter goes on a little bit longer than I think it should sometimes, even though the last couple of years winters have been extremely mild. But just know far enough north and south has some give and take to it. Next, a couple things about schools I wish I knew. Winston-Salem Forsyth County Schools does have school choice. However, it's just not you can move here and just go to the different school. There's a time period that things need to happen where you need to be, as a resident in the area, and then a time to put in choices for schools and different things like that. I encourage you to look on the Winston-Salem Forsyth County School website to get more information, or I can link that up below as well. But just know, while I've had many clients get here, use the school choice to be able to switch schools to get into a different school that's outside of their zone. There are some rules that you have to go by. It's not guaranteed. You need to provide your own transportation, and oftentimes you will have to be in your school zone you're assigned for that first year just because that timing does not work out to get there into the second year to make the school choice. Speaking about schools, high school graduation is a little bit different too. When I graduated, we had graduation at my school. It was that day, and it's just a little bit different in Winston-Salem schools. I'm pretty sure all of them do their graduations off campus at a separate location, and they have kind of a graduation weekend for the entire district. Except for a few exceptions this year, like graduation ceremonies start on Thursday and they go through Sunday. My son is graduating this year, so his graduation is at a location away from school, and his starts at 8 in the morning. Then they have another one at 12 and 4, and there's 3 or 4 throughout the day at one place. So you're just going to have a place that is assigned and an assigned time. It's just different than I expected. I'm curious to see what the traffic is going to be like getting in and out of those. See my slower pace of life comment and where I don't always do good with that, especially if it's just sitting in parking lot traffic. But his graduation is the first one in the morning, so we'll get in and then we'll get out when everybody else is coming. But just know that the graduations here are a little bit different. They're scattered throughout the weekend, so it tends to be a really busy weekend throughout the city. So if you're planning on graduation parties, restaurant reservations, catering, and things like that, it's a big deal. A lot of people do it, and it can book up far in advance. So just understand that if you have someone that's graduating from high school here. If you need help buying or selling real estate anywhere in Winston-Salem or the surrounding area, I'd love to be a resource for you. You can reach out to me directly at jeff@govalentino.com. Thanks.